As you can see, I am surrounded by lots of beautiful, very, very tall trees, and I'm going to climb one of them. This tree here. There's a lookout at the top that is 53 meters above ground level. I apologize if the camera is shaking. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'll be honest. I'm not really having fun right now. I sort of regret doing this. This is very scary. I'm nervous. Oh! I'm sorry. That was a bit misleading. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. It did get scary up there for a moment, but I'm not physically injured. That was just a short teaser. The full video is half an hour long. It's me climbing this tree so that I can open this mystery box at the top. Now, the fear that I experience in that video, that really intense emotion, is a good lead in to what I want to talk about today, which is the importance of mental stillness in attracting women and how that whole process works. Women aren't attracted to men who are highly anxious and restless. Women are attracted to men who have inner peace, who are calm and confident. In this video, my aim is to use as simple terms as possible, very basic illustrations to explain how a masculine man achieves this level of inner peace. So if you feel constantly anxious, like you have too many thoughts, you feel restless and unsettled, and you're worried that that is inhibiting your ability to attract women into your life, then this is definitely the video for you. Pay close attention. Okay, imagine that this circle is you. This is your mind. And this little dot moving around, this is your cognition. Now, imagine that you're sitting alone, completely silent in the dark. There is absolutely no external stimulation at all. Now, if you've tried this, you realize that this doesn't actually stop your mind from thinking. We can illustrate this with a thought occurring every time the dot hits the walls of your mind. That creates a thought spontaneously occurring in your awareness. So, what am I going to do tomorrow? Did I leave the dishwasher on? What's the name of that actor that I like? So those are your thoughts, but in between each of these thoughts is empty space, what we'll call mental stillness. So in that space, there's no thoughts, it's just peacefulness. When we speak of a person who has inner peace and mental stillness, what we really mean is that there is a big space between their thoughts. It's not that they don't think at all. Maybe there's some Buddhist monk who claims to never have a thought, and that's impossible for us to verify. But just for regular people, having a large gap between your thoughts is what makes you a peaceful person. So why do some people seem more at peace than others? Well, it has to do with the repression and processing of emotions. I'll illustrate this with an example. Imagine that you're a child and something bad happens. Say you lost your favorite toy. That is the external event. Now, the appropriate response to losing something like your favorite toy is sadness. So what should happen is that that external event is perfectly mirrored by an internal emotion, in this instance, grief. Something sad happens and you feel sad, you grieve, but then you move on and you forget about it. But what happens if that normal process of matching an external event with an internal emotion is interrupted? Let's say you have a strict father who tells you to man up. Boys shouldn't cry, they shouldn't show feelings, they should be tough. Well, the emotion is still there, but you are denied permission to feel it. So it becomes repressed. That doesn't mean that it disappears, not at all. It gets stored in your body, and we'll illustrate it like this. It's another circle on the inside of you. So what happens if you never emotionally process the events in your life? You see your parents fighting and arguing, and you feel scared, but you feel like you need to be brave for your younger siblings and put on a strong face, so you repress that emotion. You get rejected by the girl that you like and you feel humiliated, but you need to show confidence in front of your friends, so you hide your embarrassment and you repress that emotion. On and on and on and on. If you aren't emotionally processing these outside events, more and more of these circles build up. You are creating an emotional debt, and it gets bigger and bigger the more that you ignore it. So now look what happens with your thoughts. They hit the walls with more frequency because there is less internal space for peacefulness. It gets all clogged up with these unresolved emotions. Thoughts are occurring even without external stimuli at a much more rapid pace. These thoughts are often not about the event that caused the emotional repression in the first place. They're actually a protection against that. It's like a numbing agent. It's a distraction. Without any mental diversions, what your consciousness would naturally do is drift towards those unresolved emotions. But what happens is that your thoughts pop up to divert your attention. Hey, look at me, that's too painful. You don't want to look at that. No, let's follow this thought. Let's go this way. It happens 1,000 times a day, and we're not even aware that this is what's occurring. Maybe you've noticed this. You sit and be quiet for a while. Maybe you're even in meditation, but you don't follow the thoughts. You don't follow the distractions. You just go deeper. And where does your consciousness naturally take you to? It takes you to all of those embarrassing memories, all those unresolved emotions, times that you felt sad, ashamed, scared, and it feels as though it's just popped out of nowhere, but actually they were there the whole time, just waiting for you to be ready to actually look at them and process them. Sometimes people leave these emotions repressed for so long that they actually forget the initial external event that created them. They don't know what caused it. They just know that there is some really unpleasant emotion there that they don't want to feel. Better to just make yourself busy, to follow your thoughts, to indulge your addictions, anything to avoid actually feeling that pain. It's massively dysfunctional, but it will work. That is a choice that you can make. That's in your control. Nothing can force you to confront these issues. But the thing is that the longer that you leave it, the worse it's going to get. It's like food that's been left out in the sun. It's just going rotten and festering. Debt does not stay at the same level. It gets bigger over time if you don't start paying off the principal. And the same goes with emotional debt. The price that you have to pay in order to continue to repress it and to not actually deal with it directly is going to get higher and higher over time. The reason for this is that the process of repressing emotions and distracting yourself fundamentally goes against what's natural. If left to its own devices, your consciousness will naturally drift towards wanting to resolve these emotions because consciousness wants to be free, open, and uncluttered. This is why your mind naturally floats towards unpleasant memories and painful emotions because it wants you to confront them. It wants you to process them and then be able to let them go. And the longer that you leave it, the harder it's going to get. So if you feel like you don't have a lot of inner peace, you don't have much mental stillness, this is probably why. You've repressed too many emotions, so there's no spaciousness between your thoughts. It's just constantly bouncing off and off the wall on overtime, desperate for the distraction. So what's the solution? Well, it's pretty simple. You've got to feel the emotions. That original external event is still waiting for you to process it emotionally. You lost your favorite toy when you were 5 years old, and it feels ridiculous as an adult man to feel the emotions that came with that event. But if you've never confronted it and processed it, then it still lives somewhere within your cellular biology, and it's still waiting for you to actually acknowledge that feeling. Obviously, this is not a pleasant process. You might feel sad, you might feel scared, you might feel angry, you might feel humiliated, embarrassed, ashamed, you might want to cry, which no grown man really wants to do. And so, you can continue to repress these emotions, but you understand that the price you pay to be able to continue to do that is your inner peace. This is why I'm such an advocate for having close male friends, for having a long-term romantic relationship, for seeing a therapist, because while you're going through all this intense emotional stuff and feeling all these emotions, it makes a massive world of difference to not go through it alone, to have somebody who loves you, who cares about you, who wants the best for you, by your side, helping you through that process. As men, we like to think of ourselves as brave and courageous. We have the ability to confront our fears directly. And when it comes to physical challenges and dangerous situations, no doubt that requires a huge amount of bravery, credit where credit's due. But I would argue that confronting your internal demons and actually feeling the hardest emotions that exist inside your body is way, way harder and scarier for lots of men. And the ability to do that is a true example of masculinity. And it's not as though you need to clear out every single emotion before you start to feel better. This is not an all or nothing thing. It takes time. It's a gradual process. But the good news is that every emotion that you clear from your emotional debt gives you that degree extra of inner peace. Let's look again at our diagram. With all of these repressed emotions, you can see the thoughts are happening rapidly because there's no space for mental peace. But as we clear this ring, and this ring, and this ring, and all of these rings, suddenly there's more inner peace, more emptiness and space between the thoughts. And so you see, there is a reward here that is immediate. It's like climbing a mountain for the view at the top. Yes, once you reach the peak of the mountain, that's where the best view is going to be. But with each step that you take, the view gets better and better. So that's it, really. It's easy to say. I understand it's not necessarily easy to do. But I would say that this process is the fundamental truth behind psychology, behind therapy, dare I say, behind spirituality. It's the simple process of clearing your emotional debt, of feeling your emotions so that the events from the past no longer haunt you. That way you can be calm, still, and present to what's actually occurring right now in front of you. That kind of presence is highly desirable to women. So if you want to be attractive and successful with women, then start clearing that emotional debt. Just a reminder, if you want to see me climb up a 53-meter tree to open the mystery box, then please go and sign up at my Patreon page. It's a long video. I think it's 30 minutes long, but it was heaps of fun. It's good to go on an adventure and get out of this office. For every video that I post here on YouTube, I post an additional bonus video on my Patreon page. That means that at the moment, you're only seeing half of the total content that I create. If you'd like access to the other half, then please go and sign up at my Patreon page. It's just a $5 a month subscription, and you get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. It's a wonderful way to support the channel, and I would love to see you over there.